Hi, everyone. I have written a book called Gateway Between World Saints and Heretics, and in it, I really focus on Balkan events of World War II. So I really, you know, hone in on what happened to the Serbian Orthodox Christians of Croatia, of the independent state of Croatia. Now, I have been working on this for several years. It has been quite a journey. In the beginning phases, it started out with a lot of disinformation and misinformation that I had to sort my way through. And now I have a very clear picture of what happened, and I presented that to you. So, how I have understood it is I understand it, and I use peer reviewed academic articles to support my argument. Is that it was actually a crusade that took place. And this happened pretty well in the middle of the 20th century. And it was a crusade that was done in secret by the Catholic Church, by the Vatican. It was carried out by the Croatian Ustaše, who were fervently extremist Catholics. And actually, a lot of them were Franciscan Catholic priests. They were the ones actually carrying out the genocide, just like what happened in the Crusades of the Middle Ages, when it was carried out by Catholic priests who carried out the Crusades and the Inquisitions against the enemies of the Catholic Church, which was anybody who was not a Catholic. This crusade was against the schismatic Orthodox Christians. I just meant to put schismatic in quotation marks. So ever since the Great Schism of 1054, which divided the last two remaining churches, there were five originally, five Christian churches, and then by 1054 there were only two, which is Constantinople and Rome. Essentially, Rome proposed dictatorship, that they wanted absolute rule of the church. They wanted Constantinople to be subservient to Rome, and Constantinople refused. That is what led to the breakup of the churches, and it led to the Byzantine Eastern Orthodox Church, which Serbians belong to, and then the Roman Catholic Church, which Croatians belong to. And Serbians and Croatians are neighbors, so we can see just why they were at a head, because they were serving two different masters, is one way of putting it. Even though the Byzantine Empire has long since fallen, they still retain their Orthodox religion, and they each regard each other as schismatics. So the Byzantines regard Catholics as the schismatic ones, and the Catholics in Rome and the Catholics in general regard the Orthodox as the schismatic ones. So we can see how, they're obviously mirroring each other in that way. But the Catholics have been very ferocious in weeding out enemies of the Catholic Church. Like, we obviously know this, like I've said already, they've carried out the Crusades, they've carried out the Inquisitions. And they have not stopped doing this actually until modern times. They've continued this tradition, and they did it in 1941 to 1945 against the Serbian Orthodox. And this was not like what Hitler had done when he had all these gas chambers set up. This was carried out with maximum sadism, total brutality, mutilation, bludgeoning people over the head, throwing people alive into deep pits. Sadism was so common where they would purposely do the most painful thing for their own entertainment. I have pictures of Ustaše covered in blood laughing. So this was a big part of the genocide. This is why I argue, using all the information I have, using all the peer-reviewed sources, that no regime in history surpasses the sadism and brutality that was exhibited by the Croatian Ustaše against the Serbian Orthodox. Because again, we're talking about the torture, the drawn-out torture, the deliberate torture for entertainment. That's what sadism is, and that is what this genocide was characterized by. And I'm not the only one that thinks that, actually. There's many scholars, experts on this topic who say the same thing, and I've quoted them all in my book. So I talk about this genocide. I talk about how it wiped out 500,000 to 700,000 Serbian Orthodox. And they were killed because, again, the Catholics viewed these people as schismatics. They have for centuries, ever since the Great Schism started. And this is exactly why these neighbors, why the Catholic Croatians have viewed their own neighbors as enemies. And this is why they have viewed the Serbian Orthodox as a foreign element in their country that has to be removed, like you're removing a tumor out of a body. This is how they have viewed their own neighbors. And this is only made possible because of religious dogma that has been scorched into the psyche and the and minds of people over centuries of brutal violence, of sword and fire. So this is what my book talks about. I talk about Jasenovac, which was the largest concentration camp outside of Nazi Germany. It was located in Croatia. It had 5 subcamps. One of them was dedicated to women and children. That was subcamp 5, called Stara Gradiška. And actually that camp was co-commanded by a Franciscan Catholic priest named Miroslav Filipović. So Miroslav Filipović was infamous. He was nicknamed Brother Satan by the Jasenovac prisoners. He also called himself the master craftsman. He was very proud about his Catholic faith, obviously, and he was very proud of his actions of murdering schismatics for the Catholic Empire, because that's really what Europe is. And I talk about that in my book, is that Europe is actually the Catholic Empire. And Serbia has always been outside of that empire because of their schismatic nature. This is why they are still not part of the European Union. They've always been on the outside, even to this day, and they have continued to be on the outside because the new framework has shifted from religious to economics, and Serbia Serbians have been very ardent supporters of socialism, and that too makes them othered out of our new framework of imperialism or capitalism. So this is why the Serbian people have a unique position of always being othered. They were othered by the Catholic Empire because they were schismatic, and they were othered by the capitalist system because they wanted to retain the socialist system in Yugoslavia. So these are all the things I talk about in my book, called Gateway Between Worlds, Saints and Heretics. It's kind of like the people's history of the Balkans, especially, Yugoslavia, that area. Again, I spent several years of my life very dedicated to writing this work, and I presented very strong, cohesive arguments using peer-reviewed academic work. And I'm so happy to share it with you. It is my gift to the world. It's like my child, and I'm so happy to share it with you. So pick up a copy today. It will be on Amazon very soon. I'm just doing the final touches.